In this MicroMain training video, we're going to talk about using program options in MicroMain Premium. Program options can be found in your System Utilities tab at the top of your MicroMain Premium screen. Once selected, this opens up options for both the specific user that's logged in and global options that affect all users logging into the system. Some of the more important features or options that you have in your program options setting are the ability to hide or show different information fields on any of the active forms in MicroMain. These could be any of the forms and actions, such as your work orders or your preventive maintenance forms. Also, your asset forms, area assets, equipment, vehicles, and your resources and miscellaneous forms, so things like your parts and inventory all the way to your labor records. Another important option that you have at the user level is the ability to change the menu and filters by default when opening MicroMain. Currently, out of the box, MicroMain starts off in the Actions tab in Work Orders. In fact, you can see it in the background of the screen here. But let's say you spend more time in inventory. Here you can actually choose the Resources tab, and you can choose your Parts and Locations area. And now every time you log into MicroMain, it will automatically go to that front page. Under Global Options, there's a couple areas I want to talk about as well. The most important one being calculations. In this area is where you can set up calculations for building space and cost, for fleet as well, but more importantly, inventory calculations. This is a large part of MicroMain Premium, so I want to make sure and touch on this a little bit. Purchase order tax, basis for auto add reorder quantity, valuation method, and the default action when insufficient quantities of parts in on-hand inventory at work order closeout. These are important. There are three separate options here. Currently it's set to prompt so that if there are not enough parts in inventory at work order completion, you need to manually go in and create that number in the system. There's additionally a setting to automatically create those quantities of parts in inventory if there is currently 0 at work order closeout. And there's also an option to stop you when trying to complete a work order so that you must physically complete a purchase order and receive additional parts in inventory before you can close that work order. Lastly, under Global Options, I want to talk about the work order and task options in here. Out of the box, MicroMain produces all demand work orders at a priority 2, and additionally gives you some options for creating and closing a work order that you can set in default here. So when creating a new work order in the system, you can come into your program options, set a new priority for it. You could even set a new type. It doesn't have to be demand. It can be any of the other 4 types that are built into the system. Additionally, you can limit the service selection to those listed. That means when creating a new demand work order, the user can't type a new service in the service field. They must select one from the list of services already populated in MicroMain. You do have options here for closing out a work order. These options affect that summary box that shows up whenever you complete a demand work order or preventive work order. You also have the ability to do the same thing with all of your preventive maintenance tasks that come out. You can change the priority for them. You can also change the type for those as well. And then of course down here, one of the bigger options that can affect your work process is to automatically schedule tasks in the system. By checking this box here and setting an alert in MicroMain, the system will now skip over using the task scheduler, and it will automatically schedule those in the background of the system. This concludes using program options in MicroMain Premium. If you have additional questions, you can always access the help file in MicroMain Premium